Chief Lloyd Phillips talks Idle No More. Stephen Harper responds to local media coverage of the Kahnawà gas retailer's court case and his candidacy for chief of the AFNQL, live at the KTV studios.
Chief Lloyd Phillips, welcome to the program. Lloyd, you've been a busy man as of late. Briefly, is there anything that you can add regarding Chief Spence, the Prime Minister, the Idle No More movement, Bill C-45?
Yeah, I know it's one of those processes that it's kind of hard to keep track on what's going on sometimes. So I'll try to maybe summarize it very quickly for people. The meeting did take place. It's almost 2 weeks ago now with Prime Minister Harper. As I mentioned on the radio, unfortunately we didn't have a chance to get in the meeting, but we had delegations sent forward on our behalf from the chiefs from our area with a very strong message to the Prime Minister, basically talking about the need for high-level talks in a way that represents the historic relationship between First Nations and the Crown. No more just dealing as an Indian Act type issue or dealing with it on a policy basis or their laws, and no, let's deal with it on that nation-to-nation, government-to-government type discussions. So that message was delivered loud and clear to the Prime Minister Harper, and now we're not so much in the wait-and-see mode, but we want to hear what type of response he's going to have in terms of detail. He made some commitments, broad commitments about looking at treaty implementation, looking at comprehensive land issues and so on. But now, what does that really mean? We want to hear from him to see what he's going to be saying in more detail in the coming days and weeks. But that's not stopping Kahnawà as we're moving forward. We're going to be formulating our own political position from the council and making him also respond to what we want, because we're a very diverse country in terms of First Nations, and there's many different nations and then communities within nations. So everybody's needs are somewhat different. We have very same principles and goals and aspirations, but we want to make sure that Kahnawà's goals and aspirations are heard loud and clear by them as well.
Perfect. Switching gears a little bit, January 18th, there was a front page story in the Eastern Door about a court case that is underway, which sees Kahnawà gas retailers taking on Quebec. You spoke about this on the radio on K103 on that same day. Can you tell us a little bit about the case?
Well, no, we know very little because council is not involved in the case, other than what we've been hearing in the paper and through social media and stuff. We've been hearing bits and pieces of it. But certainly, I personally, I can't say I certainly read the paper on Friday and felt that there's things being said in there and council's being accused of lying and so on. It was like, well, I had to respond to something like that because it's the furthest thing from the truth. Council been very open and transparent in his dealings with government, and basically, it seemed that whoever was making their testimony, it was more of like against MCK than it was against the government. This court case, from what I understand, is against Quebec. It's not against MCK, and a lot of people had things to say. And Quebec themselves had stuff to say about Kahnawà, which from my understanding is not correct. And so, and if we're being raised a lot within this court case, I put it out there and say, well, how come you don't subpoena myself or council to go there and actually answer the questions? Don't listen to innuendo or stories, get the facts.
So where does council stand in this whole thing? We're not part of the case at all?
No,
yet the name is all over the place.
Yeah, there was a discussion in the past about what role can council play in this case, but unfortunately, because of, I guess, internal local politics, council was not involved, but it's moving forward on a personal level with the retailers. Now, I had a discussion with one of the proponents of the case this last week. I brought the information to council. We discussed it briefly. But what we want to do now is we want to get transcripts from the court case, what was said by Quebec, because there's allegations Quebec had made some serious breaches in what is true and what's not true. We want to assess those, and then if need be, respond appropriately politically. But then also, if anything, I would be prepared to go on the stand and defend any positions. If you have questions to ask council, then by all means ask us in the proper context.
There you go. Finally, when you were in Ottawa a couple of weeks back, the story came out that you are running for regional chief of the Assembly of First Nations of Quebec and Labrador. Fill us in on that.
Well, I talked about this a couple of times, but certainly it's something that I'm looking forward to the challenge, and the elections are being held next week. I've been involved with the regional level of politics, native politics, and national level for some time. Something that really sparks my interest. I see a direct connection to what happens in the regional level or national level, how it trickles down and impacts Kahnawà. And I felt that being able to be involved at a higher level, I could assist, not only Kahnawà, but certainly all the First Nation communities in Quebec and ultimately within Canada, and deal with that real law-to-law jurisdictional issues on a face-to-face basis directly with the Prime Minister and directly with the premiers of the province.
Wow. And if you're successful, though, what does that mean for your spot as chief here?
Well, I'm hopefully going to be successful, and once that's the case, I'll have to come back and sit down with council and discuss a transition measures over the next period of a few weeks, and then I'd probably have to relinquish my seat here, and then take on my duties full time.
And when does the election take place?
That's Wednesday the 30th.
Wednesday, 30th of January?
Yep.
Well, best of luck, and thank you again for dropping in. You're such a